Hello everyone. Today let's solve the problem, mainly a design problem. We have been asked to design a logging framework here, right? So we have been asked to design a logging framework. You can clearly see here, like Log4j, right? Like log similar to the Log4j. So here, let's see what the question states. So here, our logging framework, whatever we are designing, it should allow clients to log messages at various levels. So when I say various levels, it can be info, debug, error, warn, etc. Right? So here it should allow clients to log messages at various levels: info, debug, error, warn, etc. Anything it can be relevant ones, right? So we have to configure output formats and send the logs to different destinations. Send the logs to different destinations means, so here in this case they have clearly mentioned console file, etc. So it can be console file, anything that is relevant, right? So what we should do, we should design a logging framework. Basically it should allow clients to log messages at various levels such as info, debug, error, warn, etc. anything it might be, and we have to configure the output formats and send the logs to different destinations as well. So it may be console file, etc. anything that is relevant, right? Let's see the subparts or the sub problems here. What are all the things that we need to consider and what are the things that we need to do basically? So here we have been asked to do go with the multiple log levels, right? It should contain the multiple log levels, or we have to provide multiple log levels here, whether it may be info, debug, error, warn, anything, right? That is relevant. So next one is pluggable appenders. So we have to go with the console file, etc. anything, nothing but pluggable appenders. The third one here is thread safe logging. We have to ensure it provides we provide thread safe logging, and we have to also ensure that we have to provide the configurable log level per logger. This one, the fourth one I'm speaking of, right? So let's come to the fifth one here. We have to ensure the singleton logger as well. The fifth one, we have to ensure the singleton logger as well. And the final one here is extensible with new log levels or appenders. This one, the final one. Simple, right? It has to be extendable or extensible with the new log levels or appenders. So that's what they have given here. So this is the question. So easy to understand, right? You can just go through this one again if you felt this one was long. So you can just go through this one again. This is very simple to understand basically. I'll just comment out this one, right? So you can just go through this one again. First, what we will be doing here is we will let's discuss this one UML diagram, right? Let's discuss the UML diagram. So after discussing the UML diagram, we can just discuss the this one design patterns that we are gonna use, whether it may be single, whether it may be strategy, anything. So we will discuss what are all the design patterns that we'll be making use of, and then let's write the code and discuss the complexities of the code along with the futures code, right? So this is what we'll be doing. First, let's discuss the UML diagram first. So let's start discussing the UML diagram here. So first thing is we'll be going with the this one logging framework class. So this is the class. Basically we are going with the logging framework here. Within the logging framework class, we'll be making use of the two attributes, nothing but the appenders as well as the log level. So again I'm telling two variables are this one attributes, you can call this one, right? So here in this case we'll be going with the two attributes, one is appenders and one is log level. So these are the methods that we will be considering here in this case: log, info, debug, warn, error, right? So this one log of level and message, level comma message, info basically info of message as well, debug of message as well. So everything basically this is message itself. So this log consists of level extra, along with the message it consists of level as well, log level. So we have different log levels, right? So we have already considered that one, whether it may be info, whether it may be warn. There are different types of log messages basically. So log consists of these are the methods. So these are the methods and these two are attributes, right? So we'll be considering appenders and log level are the attributes and these are the methods basically: log, info, debug, warn as well as error. Right here in this case, log consists of the parameters level and message, info, debug, warn and error consists of the parameter message, right? So I hope this is completely clear. Let's come to the file appender part. Let's come to the file appender part. File appender class consists of only append, this one append method. It consists of only append method. It has to consist of the append method, right? We have to append the log, so it has to consist of append method. So next one is we have appender as well as the console appender class here, appender. Within the appender, so appender class, within the appender we have to append. So that is the method we'll be going with. Basically, this is the append method. Append method will be making use of within the appender class. So the last one is console appender here. So we will be making use of the append method here as well within the console, this one, console appender class, right? So what should I read? This is fine. Yeah, console appender class. So this is the high level overview. So this is the high level overview basically, right? So let me do one thing here. So what are all the core concepts that we considered here? One is logging framework. This one I'm speaking of class, the first one. Basically, this is the main logger class. Nothing but we will be making use of the singleton pattern for this. Just keep this one in mind. So we'll be discussing what are all the design patterns that we have that we'll be making use of basically. Then we will write the code. Again, just keep this in mind. The logging framework, this is the main logger class basically, and we'll be making use of the singleton pattern for this. And appender. So I'm speaking of this one, appender, right? So appender class, this is nothing but the interface for output destinations. This is interface. This is interface for output destinations, right? So this is interface for output destinations. And console appender, we have the console appender here, right? Console appender and the file appender we have here in this case. So this one I'm speaking of file appender and console appender. These two we have here, right? So this one is nothing but the concrete implementation of the appender. So this one, this is, these two are there, right? Console appender and file appender. These two are concrete implementation of the appender. Just keep this in mind, right? Log level. So here we have log level within the logging framework. Log level, we will be considering enum to define log level hierarchy. Hierarchy, whether it may be info, whether it may be one, whether it may be anything, log level. So we will be making use of the enum to define the log level hierarchy. So when we write the code, you will just understand everything. So just keep this in mind. We will be making use of the enum to define log level hierarchy. When we write the code, so we should just be knowing that we have already discussed that one while we mention something within the enum, right? So within the log level enum. So then you will be knowing that we are making use of the enum just to define the log level hierarchy, right? So that is the reason we are discussing first itself. So next is thread safety. We will be making use of synchronized. So we will be making use of the synchronized keyword for the thread safety within the code. You'll get to know when we write the code, right? So we'll be making use of the synchronized just for the consistency. Nothing but thread safety, right? So the last one is format. Each log will be having the timestamp plus level plus message. So each log, any info one, anything. Suppose info one we have here in this case. This each log consists of here in this case timestamp. I'll just write TS here, level and message here. These three things, right? Timestamp, level and message. Each log consists of timestamp, level as well as the message. These things, right? So I hope this is completely clear. This is the high level overview, right? So this is the UML diagram. This is what we have discussed here. Next, let's move on to the next part here, design patterns that is being used. So what are the design patterns we'll be making use of within the code that we write, right? So first, singleton, we have already discussed this one. Basically, we'll be making use of this one in the main logger class, right? This one, main logger class means logging framework class. So here in this case, basically what does singleton? So if you don't know the design patterns, you should be knowing the different design patterns, OOPS concepts before hopping into or before solving the design problems. You have to know at any cost different design patterns. So again, I'm telling different design patterns, these things, OOPS concepts and solid principles. These three things you have to know at any cost, right? So if you don't know, please do go through the playlist. So I have taught them the same. So I have taught the same basically, but the programming language is different, but the concepts are same. You can just go through that one and you can just come here. You will understand this one easily, right? So you will understand these basically these things easily, these concepts easily. So here singleton, basically what does singleton pattern do here? It ensures only one logger instance, right? It ensures only one logger instance. We'll be making use of the singleton pattern for the main logger class, basically logging framework. What's the name here? Just logging framework here. So here on this case, the second one is strategy. We will be making use of it via appender interface. We'll be making use of the strategy pattern as well. Basically what it does here, it enables changing log strategy, right? This enables changing the log strategy. This let's see within let's see when we write the code, right? So the final one here is factory. When I say factory, this is easy to extend new appenders. It should be easy to extend new appenders. This we will be doing via factory pattern. This we will achieve via this one, appender instantiation, right? So these are the three patterns that we'll be making use of. Just keep this in mind, right? So now we are completely familiar with the this one approach, right? So we have discussed the UML diagram, we have discussed the core concepts as well, and we have discussed the design patterns that we'll be making use of within the code. We know step by step what to do, right? Because of the UML diagram, so we have discussed everything, right? Most of the things here. So we know what to do and how to design the code, right? So let's start writing the code. So now let's start writing the code here. Just give me a second. Let's start writing the code, right? First step here is, so let's import certain things. This is for the file handling. I'll just go with the import java.io input output star. So this is for the file handling. Next, let's import here java.text. Let me go with here simple date format. This is for formatting the timestamps, right? So the logger, the timestamp we need, right? For the different error messages, basically, right? So at each level we need timestamp for every error we have to show, right? So for that one, we'll be making use of the simple date format. We are importing for the formatting timestamps. So the next one here is this one. Let's go with here import java utility. So this one, this is for list, date, whatever we use, right? So this is fine. So these three things will be making use of. So we have imported these things. So we have already discussed one thing, that I said that we'll be making use of the enum for different log levels, right? So let's make use of enum here. So this one will be log level, enum log level. Within that we should mention the different log levels, right? Here on this case, let me go with debug of 1. So let me delete this one. Yeah, debug of 1 here on this case. Info of 2, debug first one we are considering, info 2, warn, let me consider here warn 3, the third one basically, and the final one let's consider here error. Let me consider this one as 4. This one is fine. We are just assigning the numeric property for this one, different log levels, debug 1, info 2, warn 3, and error 4, right? So the next part here is let's go with the level basically, right? So it has to hold the numeric level. Numeric level means debug we are having the numerical level 1, info we are having the numerical level 2, warn we are having the numerical level 3, and error goes with the numerical level 4, right? So it has to hold the numerical level, right? So I'll just go with here, let me give private int level. So here let me give level in this case. This is fine. So the next step here is log level of this one. I'll just go with int level. Let me pass level here. So within the log level, what we'll be doing here, this is nothing but the constructor. This is not log level, whatever I have used here, int level, this one. So we are considering the parameter level, right? This one is nothing but the constructor. What are the things that we need to initialize here? Nothing but we have considered only level here, so we have to initialize the same thing within the constructor, right? So this dot level, let me initialize this one to the level. This is fine. Let me come out of this constructor basically. So let's go with the let's do one thing. Let's consider get level method. So we have to get the level, right? So for that one, let's make use of the get level method. So I'll just go with here get level. This is fine. So within the get level method, so we will return the level. When I say return level, we are making use of the getter for level. So I'll just go with return level in this case, right? I'll just come out of this one entirely. So I'll just come out of this one entirely, entire class, basically log level class, log level, this one. This is fine. Next, what we'll be doing, let's do one thing. Let's go with the appender interface, right? Let's make use of the appender interface. Nothing but what does appender interface basically do? We have already discussed this one. So appender interface, within the when we make use of the appender interface, basically all destination, it will make all the destinations implement this one, right? Appender interface, it makes all the destination implement this part, right? So here I'll just give here, sorry. So what happened here? Let me come out of this one here. I'll just go with interface appender. So we have already discussed this one, so we have the idea of this. So let's go with the method to handle log output. So I'll just go with void here. So method, I'll be going with the append. So we have discussed the same thing in the UML diagram, if you remember. So this consists of the parameters, basically parameter formatted message, which is of the type string. So I'll just go with here formatted message. So this is fine. Let me leave the space here. Formatted message, this is fine, right? So this is fine. Let me come out of this interface. So the next step is we will be going with the console appender. Within the console appender class, we said we'll be making use of the console appender, this one method, right? So what does console appender do here? This writes to the system console. So this writes to the system console. Basically, that is the reason we are making use of the console appender here. So we have discussed this one during the UML diagram as well, right? So I'll just give here console appender. So this implements interface appender here. This is fine. Within this, let's make use of the append method. So I'll just go with your public void append. This is fine. So let's go with the same thing here. This one I should have copy pasted the same thing and made the necessary changes here. So this is fine. Let me paste this one over here. We need the parameter formatted message, which is of the type string. Within so this parameter we are considering for the method append, right? So let's print certain things. So let's do one thing. Let's directly print something to the formatted message itself to the console. So I'll just give here s out. Let's pass the formatted message. This is fine. So let me come out of this method entirely. This one, console appender method, basically console appender class, sorry. This one next, we'll be making use of the file appender class. So what does file appender class do here? Writes logs to the file, right? It writes the logs to the file, basically. So here I can do one thing. Just give me a second here. Did I do anything wrong here? File appender basically writes the logs to the file, right? So let's write this class first. Let's see everything later. So I'll just go with file appender here. So this implements appender, interface appender. So this is fine. So basically file appender writes the logs to the file, right? So within the class file appender, first basically this is used for writing to the file, right? So I'll just make use of private. So let me go with the buffered writer here. Just give here writer. We need the writer. So next, let's make use of the method file appender. So I'll just go with public file appender. We have here this one. Within this method, let's go with the parameter file name. So I'll just go with the parameter file name here. So this one I'll give file name here. This is fine. So are we getting any error here? Why? Class file appender must either declared abstract or implement abstract method append string in appender. So here, just give me a second. This is fine. Let's see. So within this one, I'll be making use of the error handling mechanism. Let's go with the try catch here, right? So I'll just go with try here. In this case, within try, what I'll do, so we have the writer. So let's do one thing. I'll just make use of, let's create the new buffered writer here. So this, within this, let me go with the file writer as well. We need file writer here as well. So within the file writer, let me pass file name as well as the boolean value true in this case, right? So this is fine. So this is open in the append mode. So writer, so this will be open in the append mode, right? So whatever we have written here. So next, let's go with the catch. We have to catch error if found any, right? So within the catch, let me do one thing before opening this one. Bracket, let me go with input output exception. So IO exception E. So within the catch, what I'll do, let's print the error if file cannot be opened. If the file cannot be opened, we have to print certain error, right? So let me go with here E dot, let's make use of print stack trace here in this case. So this is fine. So let me come out of this one entirely, this method basically, right? So next, let's go with the append method. So for the thread safety, while discussing the different this one, what do you call, different design patterns, I said that we'll be making use of the synchronized keyword for the thread safety, right? So here we'll be going with the synchronized. Basically, I'll just write here public synchronized void append. I'll just give append here in this case. Let me go with just give me a second here, synchronized void append here in this case. This will be formatted message which is of the type string, formatted message which is of the type string. So let's make use of the try and catch method here. In this case, try. So within the try, what we will be doing, let's write the log message first. So I'll just make use of the writer here, writer dot, I'll just give here writer dot write in this case, right? So let's pass the formatted message, right? We are just writing the log message here. So we should be able to write the log message. So I have written in this way. So next, we have to add the new line after the message. So after a particular message, the next message, it has to be in the new line, right? We have to add the new line after the message. So again, so I'll just go with here writer dot, let me make use of the new line here. So this is not showing, right? So this has to be small. Yeah, this is fine. This one has to be small itself, I think. Writer dot, yeah, new line. Now this is fine. So this write is fine, right? What error we are getting here? Unhandled. So this is fine. For now, this is fine. So we are just adding the new line after the message. The next thing is, let's go. Let's flash. Make sure. Let's flash. Just to ensure that it's written immediately, right? So I'll just make use of a writer dot flash here. So this is fine. So this is it for within the try. Basically catch. Let's go with the input output exception here in this case. So input output exception E here. So within the catch, what we'll do, let's print the error if writing fails. If the writing fails, right, we have to print certain error. So I'll just go with here dot, let me go with the print stack trace itself. This is fine. This itself is fine. This works basically. So yeah, next, what we'll do, let's go with the main logging class. Nothing but the singleton pattern. We said we'll be making use of the singleton pattern for the main logging class. Nothing but logging framework class, right? So let's write the logging framework class now. So before writing the logging framework class, let me format the code so that this looks nice. This looks nice, right? So yeah, this is fine. So any error here? What error we have here? Missing package. This is fine. This works. So everything is fine, right? Apart from that, yeah, this is fine. Now let's start writing the logging framework class, right? So here in this case, I'll just go with class logging framework. This is fine. Within the logging framework class, first what we'll do, let's go with a singleton instance, right? So I'll just go with here private static, so logging framework here. In this case we are going with singleton instance, so I'll just give here instance itself. So what framework we have, right? I'll just give here instance. We are just going with a singleton instance. After going with a singleton instance, let's go with the list of appenders and default log level as well. First, let's go with the list of appenders here on this case. So I'll just go with private list of appenders, right? We'll be making use of the list here. So we are just creating the new array list here. In this case, within the list, let's pass the appender. So let me consider the variable name as appenders here. So here in this case, let's create the new array list. So this is fine. So this is nothing but the list of appenders. So the last one here is default log level. When I say default log level, we are going with here in this case private log level. So this will be configured level. Let me assign this one log level dot debug. We are going with the default log level, right? So I'll just go with here log level dot debug, right? So yeah, this is fine. So this works. Next step here is let's go with a private constructor. Basically, why we want to go with a private constructor here? We have to prevent the external instantiation, right? So we don't want to go with the external instantiation. So let's make use of the private constructor here. So here, let me go with private logging framework. So let me give here logging framework. So here, so this is it. So the next step after going with the private constructor, so let's go with the singleton getter. So when I say singleton getter, let me quickly write this one public static. So let's make use of the synchronized keyword here. So let me go with the logging framework and let's go with the get instance here. We are going with the singleton getter, right? So let me go with the get instance here. So within the singleton getter, so let me do one thing. Let's go with the simple if condition. If instance is null, then if instance doesn't exist at all, we have to create one, right? If instance doesn't exist, then we are creating one in this case. So here if instance is null means if instance doesn't exist, then let's create one here. Means let's assign instance to, let's create one means let's do one thing, new logging framework here. We have created one successfully here if the instance doesn't exist basically. So let's return the instance here. Why we are returning the instance here? In this case, we have to return the same instance, right? After creating, if the instance doesn't exist, first we will create one and then we will return the same instance, right? So this is fine. Let me come out of this one entirely. So the next step is we have to go with the method to set the minimum log level, right? So let's go with the method set log level here in this case. So I'll just go with public void set log level here in this case. So I'll just pass the parameter level here in this case. So this will be of the type log level. This is fine. What we are doing within this method, basically we are writing this method to set the minimum log level, right? Here let's set the threshold log level, some threshold, right? So here in this case, let me go with this dot configured level. So this one, let me assign this one to the level. So this is fine. Let me come out of this one entirely. So after this one set log level method, let's make use of one more method, add appender. So we need a certain method to register the appender, right? So we have to register an appender. So it can be any appender. It can be file appender. It can be console appender. We already know, right? There are different appenders. So we need a method to register an appender basically. For that one, we'll be making use of add appender method here in this case, right? So I'll just go with public void. So let me give here add appender. So which is of the type appender here. So not type, yeah, appender, this one parameter appender, which is of the type appender. Basically this is fine. So let's add the appender to the list here. Nothing but here in this case I'll just go with appenders dot add. I'll just make use of property add here. Let's pass the appender. So we are just we have to add the appender to the list, right? So let me pass the appender here over here. So this is fine. Let me come out of this method entirely, right? Let me come out of this method entirely. So now what shall we do here? Now let's go with the main logging method. So I'll just go with here public synchronized void. We are going with basically, right? So let's pass the parameter level, which is of the type log level. This is fine. One more parameter here, message, which is of the type string. So this one, yeah, message, which is of the type string. The first step within this one is we have to skip if the below threshold. If it is below threshold, then we have to skip that one, right? So we have to match certain threshold. That's what we have done earlier. So if it is below threshold, then we have to skip. So for that one, let me write the simple if condition here. So this will be level dot get level. Let me make use of get level here. So if this is less than configured level, nothing but the below threshold. If it is below the threshold, right? So this is nothing but configured level dot get level in this case. Then what we need to do, we don't have to return anything, right? This is fine, easy to understand, right? So the next one here is we have to format the timestamp as well as we have to build the log message. These two things we have to do. We have to format the timestamp and we have to build the log message, right? So let me do one thing here. Let's format the timestamp. So for that one, I'll be making use of string here. So variable timestamp here. In this case, timestamp. This one, let me go with new simple date format. This is fine. Within the simple date format, what I'll do, let me give 4 pies here in this case, month, td here. This is fine. Minutes, and this one seconds. So this is what I wanted to give here. You can give anything in any format you wish. So that has to be relevant basically, right? So this is nothing but the we are giving pattern here, right? So y this one, right? Year, month, date, hour, minutes and seconds here. This is fine. So next, let me go with the format here. Within the format, we have to format the timestamp, right? So within the format, what we need to do. So I'll just go with the new date. So what happened here? It's a function, right? Yeah, this is fine. So not showing actually. This is fine. So the next step is after formatting the timestamp, we have to build the log message. Log message as well. So for building the log message, let me do one thing. Let me consider the variable name here, formatted, and let me assign this one to this one first. This starts from square bracket here. Let's concatenate the timestamp. Already have the timestamp. So let me close this one. What do we call a square bracket here? Again, let me open the this one square bracket here. Within the square bracket, let's go with the level dot name here. In this case, we need the name, level name. Either it can be info, one, anything, right? Catch anything. So here, log name. Let me close this one. What do we call this one? Square bracket. So along with it, we need the message as well. So I'll just give here message. We have successfully built the log message. So now, let me come out of this one. So what error we have here? So yeah, let me do one thing here. Let me go with double inverted comma instead of single inverted comma. This is fine. So why we are getting error here in this case? Still don't understand this one. So this one, yeah. So 1 second. Here we don't need this one. Here we don't need this one, I think. here we need this one. It's fine. This is fine. Here in this case, we don't need something here, right? So this is fine. This level, so we don't need anything. Here we need something. So this is fine. Yeah, placing the double inverted comma around. We place the double inverted comma around. This is fine. So let's do one thing. Let me go with the simple for loop here. Then the for loop, what I'll do, I need individual appender, right? Of appenders basically. So I'll just consider here a appenders. So this is fine. So within the for loop, what we will do, we will send the formatted log to each appender. So nothing but here in this case, a dot append of, let me pass the formatted here, right? So this is it. Yeah, this is for the for loop. Let me come out of this one entirely. So just give me a second here. Let me come out of this one entirely. Now we need some convenience method for the debug, right? We need some convenience method for the debug. Let's do one thing. Let's consider the debug method itself, right? So I'll just go with here a public void. Let me go with the name debug for the method. So let's pass the parameter message, which is of the type string here. So I'll just go with string message. In this case, within the method debug, what we need to do, we have to call the log with the debug level. So I'll just go with log here in this case. Log, within the log, what shall we pass? Log level. So we are calling the log with the debug level, right? So let me give here debug also message. Let's pass the message as well, right? So this is fine. Let me come out of this method entirely. So the next one is we went with the convenience method for the debug. Let's also go with the convenience method for info as well as one as well. So let me copy the same thing twice and make the necessary changes. I don't want to type this one again. So I'll just give me a second here. So here, yeah, instead of debug, let me go with the info here. Instead of here again, instead of debug, let me go with one here, right? So this is fine. So string message, the parameter will be same. We are printing the message anyway. So here in this case, log level dot debug info. This remains same basically, right? This remains same, except the this one convenience message. We are making use of the convenience method for debug info as well as one, right? So these are three different methods: debug, info, and one. So within the methods, we are calling the log with debug level. We are here in this case, we have to change this one, right? So log level dot debug we have given here in this case. This has to be info. Yeah, we have to change this one. I forgot. So this one has to be one basically. This one I forgot entirely. This is fine. So within this one, we are calling the log with info level. Within this one, we are calling the log with debug level. Within the info method, we are calling the log with info level. Within the one method, we are calling the log with one level, right? So let me come out of this method entirely, right? Let me come out of this method entirely. So we also need for error as well. We have considered 4 levels, right? So let me copy the same thing once again. So here let me paste this one. So I'll just go with the method name error. This is the convenience method for error. So now we have to call log with error level. So I'll just go with, instead of 1, let me go with error here in this case, right? So this is fine. So let me come out of this one entirely. So I'll just come out of this one entirely. Now let's go with the sample usage here. So we have to get some output, right? For that one, we have to give some input. So now we have successfully written the code. Now let's go with the sample usage, nothing but the main class here. So we have mentioned the main class already here. And so this one, we are considering the log level, right? Not the log level basically. Where did it go? This one, logging framework. So here, let me do one thing. Let me give public static void main. So within the main, let me do one thing. This will be string arguments. So this is, so within this, what we will do, let's get the logger singleton. Here in this case, this will be logging framework logger. So this one, we are considering the logger variable, right? So we are getting the logger singleton here. In this case, I'll just go with logging framework. We have, let's make use of the get instance to get the logger singleton. This is fine. So I hope this is clear. Simple, right? So next step here is we have to set the minimum log level to the info, right? So we have to, let's set the minimum log level to info, and then let's log to console, and then log to the file name anything. So in my case, I'll just give some random file name. You can just check with other file names as well. You can give any other file names as well of your convenience, right? So first, let's set the minimum log level to info. So I'll just give here in this case logger dot set log level in this case. So here within this one, let me give log level. So I'll just be making, so what happened here? Why two parentheses here? Let me remove one. So this will be log level dot info. Basically, this is fine. The second one it is showing. This is fine. So the next step after setting the minimum level to the info, we have to log to the console, right? So I'll just give here in this case logger add appender. So this will be new. Just give me a second here. It's been new console appender, right? So within the console appender, we don't have to pass anything. We are just logging to the console, right? So this is fine. So the next step after logging to the console, we have to log to the file named anything of your choice, basically. So I'll just give any relevant name. Just give any relevant name, right? So just give your add appender, logger dot add appender. What we are doing here, we are logging to the file name, right? So here in this case, let me give new file appender. File appender, we have to name some, we have to consider some file name, right? So here in my case, what shall I give? So let me give here app.log. So this will be relevant. So I have considered this one. This is fine. So the next step. So here till here, this is fine. So the next step or the final step here. Basically below threshold, if it is below threshold, we shouldn't log that message. Means it shouldn't log the info, basically in this case. So let's give one thing here. So let's do one thing here. Sorry, I'll just give logger dot debug here. Within the debug, what I'll do, within the strings, I'll just give here, this is a debug message. So this is a debug message I'm giving here. In this case, I'll just give should be ignored, right? So this is what. So this won't log because this won't log below info. Why? Because this is below the threshold level. So this shouldn't log. This message we shouldn't get basically in the output. So this is a debug message and this should be ignored. Basically, I am giving here. Just see this one. Just try to understand, right? Whatever I'm saying. This is below the threshold, whatever we have set. So this shouldn't show in the this one output, whatever we have given here, right? So I'll next let me do one thing again. Logger dot let me consider info this time instead of debug. So info, within this one, let me give some message. This is an info message. So this is relevant to this one, right? So this is fine. So let me do one thing. Let me copy this one and make the necessary changes here. So here let's go with, instead of info, we have warn and error as well, right? So I'll just make this one warn, and the last one I'll just make this one error. So instead of this is an info message, I'll just make this one, this is a warn message. So this is not an and doesn't come here, and this one error, this is an error message. So this is an error message. So this is fine, right? So this is fine. Just let me give this one in capital letters. This one is fine. So let me format the code once. So this is it for the code. So now so here see, now this has to log at or above the configured level info, right? So here in this case, this should be ignored and this shouldn't be printed in the output, right? So when we run the code, this shouldn't be printed because this is below the threshold level, right? So we have to print the output only above the configured level, right? So in this case, info, warn, and error, these three things along with the timestamp and this one, the log level, means we have to get the timestamp first, next then the log level, nothing but in this case info. For the second one we have to get one, and the third one we have to get error, and along with the message also we have to get, this is an info message, this is a warn message, and this is an error message. That's what output we need to get accordingly with the code that we have written. Let's check. So let's run the code, let's see whether this works or not. I hope this works. Let's see. What? Where? Line number 22. What? Simple date format we have made use of, right? Here. This one, why I have made use of parenthesis? Parenthesis is not required here in this case. And let me run this one again. SQL.date. This is not required. SQL.date. Let's see whether this works or not now. This has to work. Let's see. No suitable constructor found for date. The line number 97 here. Timestamp. So this is one error we are getting. No suitable constructor found for date. No arguments. SQL.date is not applicable. So here SQL.date is not required here. So just give me a second. This itself is not replaceable. So let me do one thing. Let me run this one again. It has to take date automatically, right? So we don't need anything. I hope so. This works. Let's see. So yeah, now we are getting the output. So let me enlarge this one so that you get to see this one properly. So yeah, now you can clearly see here we are getting the timestamp. We are getting the timestamp. Currently this is 2:18, means we are getting an 24-hour format, right? So here this is 14:18, nothing but 2 minutes this one. Yeah, the time is 2:18, right? Hours, minutes, seconds, right? 2:18:20, right? So this one 2:18:20 again, 2:18:20. So we are getting the log level as well. The first one is info. That's what I said right here. Let me do one thing here. So here, so this one should be ignored, as we know. This is below the threshold level, so this one should be ignored. So this is ignoring the first one. This is fine. The second one, the output format that we need to get here as within the output is this one. First, this is the timestamp, and this is the level, log level, and this is the message that we have given, right? So here this is an info message, this is an this is a warn message, this is an error message, right? So here this is nothing but timestamp. We are getting this one correctly in the 24-hour format, right? So this is correct. Date, time, as well as the year we are getting, right? So date, time, as well as year. So this is fine. This is also fine. We are getting the date, time here in this case. So we are getting the log levels as well. Info, warn, error, and along with the message. This is an info message, this is an warn message, this is an error message. This works absolutely correct on this case, right? So whatever the code that we have written, the code works absolutely perfect on this case, right? So now let's do one thing. Let's quickly discuss the complexities and let's quickly discuss the future scope of the code that we have written, right? So let's quickly discuss the complexities and the future scope. Just give me a second here. So in this case, what is the time complexity here? The time complexity is big of 1 per log. So just give me a second here. So the time complexity is big of 1 per log, except the file input output latency. Overall time complexity we can just consider here in this case big of 1, right? So what will be the space complexity here? Space complexity is big of 1 for the singleton. Singleton in the sense we have made use of the singleton pattern for the main class logging framework class. This one I'm speaking of. See here, you can clearly see class logging framework, right? So space complexity is big of 1 for the singleton, and for the appenders whatever we have used. So here in for the appenders it is big of n. So in the worst case it is big of n, right? So for the appenders it is big of n, and for the singleton class, whatever we have used here, logging framework, for that one space complexity is big of 1. I hope this is clear. So overall time complexity for the code that we have written, we can just directly consider this one as big of 1 itself, right? So big of 1 per log, except for the file input output latency, right? So this is big of 1. So this is so we have successfully discussed the complexities, right? So we have successfully discussed the complexities. Now finally let's discuss the future scope, right? So let's discuss the future scope. Let me do one thing. Let me erase this one. Yeah. So future scope, when I say future scope, the first one that comes to my head here is asynchronous logging, right? Asynchronous logging. I'll just write here AL. When I say asynchronous logging, so we have to make sure that we allow offload logging to the background thread. So for offload logging to the background thread, we can just make use of the queue. Why we can just go for the other data structure as well, right? So why we are just making use of queue itself here? So when we make use of the queue, it reduces the input output bottlenecks, right? And it will also improve the performance in the high throughput systems. So this we have to keep in mind. Basically, the first one is asynchronous logging. We have to allow asynchronous logging, nothing but offload logging to the background thread, right? So this is first one. The second one that we need to keep in mind is pluggable formatters and MDC support. So I'll just give here MDC. So we have to make sure that we allow pluggable formatters as well as MDC support. When I say pluggable formatters and MDC support, it has to support custom log formats. So when I say custom log formats, whether the simple one is JSON format, right? We have to allow JSON format, right? We have to support custom log formats like JSON and also MDC. When I say MDC, the important thing here, MDC is nothing but mapped diagnostic context, right? Mapped diagnostic context here. Why we are making use of MDC here? For adding the contextual info. So when I say contextual info, whether it may be request ID, it may be user ID, anything in the microservices, right? So in the microservices, this is the second thing, basically pluggable formatters and MDC support. The final one here is, the third one is remote and distributed logging. We have to allow remote and distributed logging. I'll just give your RNDL. Remote and distributed logging. When I say remote and distributed logging, we have to add support for the support for sending logs to external systems. When I say add support for sending logs to external systems will be Kafka, Elasticsearch, Logstash, Splunk, anything, right? It can be anything. It's of your choice for centralized logging and distributed environments, right? So we have to add supports for sending logs to external system for centralized logging and distributed environments. These three things we have to keep in mind. This is the future scope that I wanted to discuss, basically, right? So I hope whatever the code that we have written is completely clear. I hope the complexities are completely clear along with the future scope as well. And we have discussed the UML diagram initially itself, right? So based on the UML diagram and based on the what do we call, based on the design patterns, so along with the UML diagram, we discussed design patterns as well, different design patterns that we'll be making use of within the code, right? So basically, so based on the UML diagram and based on the patterns, different design patterns, we wrote code exactly based on those two things, UML diagram as well as the design pattern, right? Accordingly with the UML diagram and this one design patterns, you can clearly see. So we got the desired output as well. This works absolutely correct in this case. And we have discussed complexities as well as this one, what we call future scope as well. Now we have successfully solved the this one, logging framework design problem, right? I hope whatever we discussed is completely clear. For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.